back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Room Liberty, and with me is...
Fawaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we got some stuff. We got a massive Overwatch patch. We've got The Division adding a new survival mode. We've got Paladins hitting 4 million users. We got Persona 5 delay to April 7th, I think.
Boo!
Yeah,
Sorry.
not great. Nintendo NX possibly getting a better version of Pokemon NX. Sorry, Nintendo Switch. I'm still used to calling it that. Nintendo Switch.
I didn't even notice that you did it.
Nintendo Switch possibly getting a better version of Pokemon Sun and Moon called Stars. Price revealed for the Switch, and then we'll have our questions of the day. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we played this week. So this will tie into our first piece of news, but I mostly played Titanfall and Overwatch whenever I had the time to. And I tried out a couple different modes. I tried out Elimination, which I thought was a lot of fun. What surprised me was I didn't know about... So I knew about the map, right? The Antarctica map. That's a lot smaller than a regular map. And it's built for these 1v1, 3v3 modes. I didn't realize that there were no health packs on these maps at all. So the health pack game mindset, you have to completely throw out the window. And that makes it a lot harder for, obviously, heroes, where if they don't have any healing abilities at all, and if you get hit, that hit means a lot more. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I had some fun with the 3v3 mode. Got a little bit salty with the 1v1 because it was more... I'm not saying it's a bad mode. There's something that I found really, really interesting about the 1v1 mode is that this is something that you kind of think about in the main game, but it's more important in 1v1 is footsteps. Hearing footsteps is the best way to figure out where your opponent is coming from. And I find it really interesting in which I had a game in which we were running around chasing each other, and then I went, wait a second. What if I just crouch and I wasn't making any noise? And I could hear him, and I was using the sounds of his footsteps to figure out where he was, so that I could sort of surprise him around the corner, because I knew he was going to be there. So that I found was fun. Got a little bit salty because I kept on getting so close to winning, but then just screwing up in the last 2 rounds. Because there's certain heroes in this game where I'm just like, I just can't play them well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I still had a lot of fun with that, and didn't really get to play Sombra because every single person is playing Sombra at the moment. No matter
I just got No Limits. We'll just touch on this.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a sec. But yeah, that's pretty much what I played this week. I can't think of much else. I played a little bit more of SMT. I think I'm actually about halfway through the game, so I'm pretty happy with that. Although I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm going to have to look up where I need to go next. Because, it's interesting how that game changes so drastically at, the 10-hour mark. Because you have a more limited progression about where you can go in that game. And then when you get to the 10-hour mark, you get to this new area, which is basically Tokyo. And it is a completely open area where there are tons of different places you can explore and quests that you can take. And it's like the game just blows up at that point. And it's just like, oh God, there's so much more that I need to do. But I'm still enjoying that. Anyway, that's what I played this week. What about you, Fawaz?
So yeah, I finished off Titanfall 2 story mode, and it was really good. I mean, it was way too short. I realized when it was winding down, and it made me sad. They introduced all these cool characters towards the end, and then you barely get to see them. Like there's this mercenary group called the 6-4s, and they're like, your stereotypical hoorah mercenaries, but they're just so funny. Like the first time you see them, like I hop into this place and I kill everyone there. Then the six fours they show up and they're like, "Yo, good job, kid." And I'm like, just doing my job. And one of them is like, "Ha, this guy."
Yeah.
And then there's this one spot where we can't jump over this hole. It's too big, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of them tells the Sarah Briggs to bring the ship closer, and she's like, "Why?" Then one of them she runs and she wall runs off the ship and onto the next ship, and then the other guy's like, "Yo, I love my job." And then they all go.
Yeah, like
And I'm
that.
like, "Yo, these guys are so cool.
It
Why,
was.
why,
It
why
was.
do I only get to spend like one mission with these
Yeah,
guys? I'm so mad
I
right now."
found that interesting. Yeah, because it was like the most of the game you're spending time with BT, right?
Yeah.
And he's an awesome dude, but a lot of the other side characters are a little less interesting. So I was a little bit. I did have that feeling too, where I was like, man, these guys are kind of cool and goofy, and I kind of wish that they were in the game more, or at least we got to do more missions with them.
Mm.
But yeah, I know what you mean. I was like I find that the campaign was a little bit short, but I don't know. Like, do you think like maybe just 2 extra hours? Like, what would have been the best ballpark range for this kind of, you know? Because if the game is supposed to be fast paced, I don't necessarily want a 20-hour campaign. You know.
Yeah,
So it's like
a
what
20
would be
hour
what
campaign.
would be the
But
sweet spot?
I think like because it took me like 5 hours. So I think a 8 to 10 hour campaign would have been just the right length. Because
I think 8 would have been fine.
yeah, because I feel like the game ended right as it was getting really good, and not to spoil anything, but it doesn't really wrap itself up at the end either. So there's that too, but hey, what can you do? Other than that, I've just been playing the multiplayer. I think I'm getting a lot better. I played a bunch of games where I pretty much just carried, so that was fun. Except we lost in a lot of those games, so that wasn't fun. I think I have two on the channel now, and there's a third one coming sometime next week. Oh, well, sorry. The third one will probably be up by the time you guys hear this podcast.
Yeah. So for those who are confused about just the scheduling with the podcast, so there's a lot of stuff that we've both been going through, and personally on my side, I've had to like rearrange a lot of my scheduling for when I'm able to work on the podcast and get stuff done. So if the podcast comes out at a weird time during the week, I'm going to try my best to get it out as soon as possible, but that's part of the reason. It's just a scheduling thing. So just know that maybe in the future, depending on how things go, we may have to move the podcast release time to a different date. To a different time of the week, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. But that's the main reason that the podcast is a little bit wonky as far as when it's being released at the moment.
Yeah, but yeah. So I played Titanfall. So real quick. Funny story actually happened to me in school a couple of days ago. So I was trying to edit. I was trying to edit some footage, and I asked my teacher to help me. Then he comes up and he's like, "Where's your mouse?" And I'm like, "Oh my god." And he's like, "Yeah, you really should buy a mouse." And I'm like, ugh. Oh my god. Yeah.
This is just applause.
So yeah,
applause for that teacher.
You'd enjoy that. I
He
thought
taught
you'd enjoy that.
you know what? He knows his shit. That's a good teacher.
But yeah. So I'll probably buy a mouse. I mean, honestly, I might even have a mouse by the time this podcast is up. But that's another story for another day. So yeah, into the news. As Tana mentioned when he was talking about Overwatch, there was a massive patch, probably the biggest patch we've had since the game launched.
Very big.
It added Sombra, as everyone expected. Real quick, actually, the patch came out at the same time on consoles and PC. That was a pleasant surprise. I mean, it came out like maybe 2 hours later. A couple of hours later on console, but it came out on the same day on consoles and PC. So, shout out to Blizzard for that. We definitely appreciate that, us lowly console plebs. But yeah, the patch, it introduced Sombra, and it added arcade mode, like like Tana was talking about.
Yeah.
And what arcade mode is that it's a bunch of different modes. So there's a 1v1 mode, which is actually a surprising amount of fun. Although I do agree, I got pretty salty because I couldn't. I'd make it to like 3, and then I went up 3-1 once, and then the person won 4 straight on me. I went up 4-4, and then I messed up. I was winning the McCree game, and then he did the stupid roll, flashbang, find the hammer shit on me. I lost a lot. I finally won because you get a free loot box for winning your first game in 1v1 and your first game in 3v3. The 3v3 mode is really fun. I've enjoyed it a lot. And then it also has a bunch of other modes. So there's the Mystery Heroes, which I think was an old brawl where every time you die, you get a new randomly selected hero. So that's I tried to play that, but the queue times were really long. So yeah. Then there's a brawl playlist that has all the old brawls, and then finally there's No Limits, which is the new quick play, because the old quick play has 1 hero limit now, so no more 6 Sombra games, thank the Lord. What else? Oh yeah, and then there's a massive balance patch. Good gracious. I'm probably going to miss a lot of stuff, but all the alts in the game got nerfed by 25%. May's alt got nerfed by an extra 15% on top of that. Anna lost the speed boost on her nano boost. Mercy got buffed. Her health regeneration starts after 1 second of being out of combat. It used to be 3. Reinhardt, what am I saying? Diva got buffed. Her suit has 200 HP now. Still has 400 armor, so she effectively has 600. Total HP. Zarya. Yeah, my girl Zarya got nerfed. They reduced the amount of energy she gets for every bit of damage. So now you used to be able to get 100 energy for 2 barriers. Now the most you can get is 80. Honestly, I think she's fine. In fact, there was a stealth buff that they gave her because what used to happen with Zarya's beam was that you had to hold it, even though the beam was on the target, it had to stay on the target for a certain amount of time before it started registering damage. That made killing like Tracers and Genjis with the beam very, very difficult.
Yeah.
They changed that, so now the damage registers immediately, and some people are saying that she might even be better now than she was before. Which, honestly, as much as I love Zarya, it's probably not very good for the game as a whole, because she's really, really, really good. 76 got buffed. He got an extra 3 damage, which is funny because it doesn't sound like much. But then when you consider the fact that he's an assault rifle, that extra 3 damage actually adds up very quickly. Very much, yeah. Pharah got buffed. Pharah got tweaked. So her rockets do more splash damage now, but her rockets don't bounce you around anymore, and her thrusters got like 35% extra thrust to them, so she can stay in the air indefinitely. With proper cooldown management, she never has to land anymore. But then, the lack of the knockback on the rockets, a lot of people are saying is a massive nerf, because what used to happen was that, if a 76 or a McCree or a Zenyatta were trying to kill Pharah, her best defense against them was to, shoot them with rockets, and then the rockets made them bounce about, which made it hard for them to hit her. Now, if you shoot them with the rocket, it does the damage, but they don't move. So it's... A lot of people are saying that she's actually worse now, which is interesting. Oh yeah, Torbjorn got tweaked. Now his scrap generates passively. So at the start of a match, I think he has enough scrap to give 2 people armor.
Well, because I played Torbjorn for a bit, and he's interesting because part of it is that you do passive scrap, right? But what is more interesting is that they reduce the amount of scrap that you can get off dead bodies. Because they found that what was happening is that, there would be a team fight, and if Torbjorn was still alive, there would be all this scrap for him to pick up, and then everyone would just be getting armor. So now it's a little less like bursty and more like sustain as far as like how the armor packs work. So I found that was pretty interesting, and more importantly for him, which I thought was a really nice buff to him, was he can build his turrets to level 2 a lot faster than he used to.
Yeah, he builds his turrets faster. And another thing that they added, actually, I forgot to mention, is that Torbjorn and Symmetra, killing their turrets doesn't give you ult charge anymore.
Yeah.
Because people just used to be able to farm their ults off Torbjorn turrets. So that's not a thing anymore. Oh, I also forgot to mention with D.Va, they increased her movement speed while she's shooting by 25%, which I honestly think is the bigger buff than the health buff. But yeah, shout outs to them for trying to fix D.Va. Widowmaker got buffed. Her Venom Mine doesn't damage her anymore. Honestly, I don't understand why it ever did to begin with. And her sniper rifle charges 20% faster. And believe me, that is actually that makes a difference. Me and Tana got stuck in a game with this pro Widow, and it was terrible.
It was rough because like I said, people who are good at Widow, especially now, can be very dangerous.
It was so funny because the Widow was Pharah, and this is just a quick digression. The Widow starts the game out as Pharah, and then the Bastion on our team just murders him, right? Because like Pharah flying against the Bastion is death. So the Bastion murders him. He dies like 2 or 3 times, and then he just goes back to Swan, switches to Widow, and he destroys us. Oh my god. Did we win that game?
We did barely, but it was close. It was very
barely.
close.
We won it at our spawn. They pushed the payload all the way, and then we won at the very, very end. Like I switched to Winston. I switched to Genji. I tried everything, and this dude just dominated us. And then the worst part was that the Bastion, who brought this horror upon us, never switched off Bastion. But yeah, that's the massive patch. It's going to be a while till the dust settles and we can tell where everything is going to land. But right now, just off the top, D.Va's definitely a lot better. I don't know if she's going to be good enough because she still has some of the problems that she had before, even with the buffs. Zarya still eats her for breakfast, and she's still a worse version of Winston. She doesn't... she can move faster while she's shooting now, but you can still kite her. You can't kite Winston. Her jump jet has a longer cooldown than Winston's, which I've never understood why. And then her defense matrix doesn't block a lot of things that. Okay, now I understand why it doesn't block everything. That'd be completely broken. But there's a lot of important stuff that the defense matrix doesn't block. Roadhog hooks being number 1 on that list.
Yeah.
Every time I'm playing with a D.Va on my team as my primary tank, I'm playing Zenyatta, I always end up getting hooked time and time again. And I'm just like, God, if it had been any tank, well, besides her and Roadhog. But yeah, like, it doesn't block that. It doesn't block Discord, and it doesn't block Earthshatter. So I do think obviously she's objectively better now. She has more health and she moves faster. There's no argument about that.
Like as someone who plays D.Va, I still think this buff is great. She moves a lot faster. She has a little extra health, which is always good. So I think she is definitely a lot stronger.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, it also depends on preference as well, because it's like, I know you're the big Winston guy, and I've tried Winston, and I just, he's fine, and I enjoy him, but I just don't like his gun. Whereas I prefer, if I had the choice between shooting D.Va's guns and Winston's guns, I'm going to pick D.Va's guns.
Yeah, but no, like what I mean though is that Winston and D.Va have similar jobs. Their job is to dive the back line and harass supports. Yeah, the reason why I say Winston does that job better, and the reason why I say Winston's just a better D.Va is because, so Winston dives the back line, Roadhog turns around to defend the support, and then Winston drops his bubble, right? Roadhog tries to hook him, the bubble bounces off, and then that bubble has separated the team now. Winston is by himself with the supports, who he's chasing, and then keep in mind his gun does AoE damage, right? So he's damaging the Zenyatta and the Mercy, right? Now let's try that same scenario with D.Va. D.Va dives the back line, and then gets hooked by Roadhog, and that's the end of that. Because D.Va's...
But it also depends, too. Like, for example, it's like, Winston pops his bubble at a let's say there's a Reaper nearby, and you pop your bubble, and he pulls Death Blossom, and he just walks through the bubble, and blows anyone who's inside. Whereas Diva, she can pop her defense matrix and eat up every single shot. So like there's certain they're very situational. Like they're both situational and depending on situations. So like I find that Winston's bubble is still good, but I feel like defense matrix, depending on how it's countered,
defense matrix is amazing.
Yeah, it can count. Like my favorite thing is when like Roadhog or a Reaper, they pop their ultimates. I stand in front of them and I block every single shot. So,
yeah, defense matrix is amazing. My issue that I have with defense matrix is that it's very hard to tell where it's covering because there's a lot of times where because here's the thing, right? Is that when I'm talking about a tank, I think about a tank relative to the rest of their team, right? Because because using your example, right, with Reaper. Reaper's Death Blossom, Diva blocks it with the defense matrix. She'll protect herself and she'll protect anyone behind her, right? Mm-hmm. But she doesn't protect anyone that is not behind her. Whereas Winston puts the bubble over it and it protects everyone that's outside of the bubble, right? But that's besides the point. But yeah, anyway, what I was getting at is it's going to be a long time before we see because this is so many changes. So many changes. The stuff that you like there's certain things how do I when I'm thinking of Diva, I'm thinking of Diva in the old meta, relative to the old 76, relative to the old Pharah.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing though, is that like if there's certain characters that Diva is better than against than Winston. Period.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If those characters become more popular, then just by extension, Diva is going to become is going to become better, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, there's characters who Winston is better at against.
If they get stronger, then Winston will be stronger. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So then going back to that, I think Zarya is one of the keys here because Zarya destroys Diva. It's really really bad, right? So they nerfed Zarya. So if Zarya's pick rate, or if Zarya's, because people don't pick Zarya a lot on consoles because console players are generally idiots. But if Zarya's effectiveness against Diva because Zarya is going to be doing less, quote unquote, less damage now, and Diva also has more health, right? So if Zarya's effectiveness against Diva becomes worse, then all of a sudden Diva just becomes better by default. But it's going to be a long time before we can see the fruits of this patch. But overall, at the very least, they're patching the right characters. The 76 has needed help for a very long time. In fact, I'm actually really mad at myself because I didn't buy the Thriller 76 skin during the Halloween events because at the time he was terrible, right? So terrible is a strong word. At the time, he just wasn't as good. So I completely forgot about him when I was thinking about who I should be buying skins for. I actually used to play 76. But yeah, now that he's gotten a lot better, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, I really wish I had that Thriller 76 skin.
I ended up buying it mostly because like out of all the attackers, because I don't usually like playing attack. I like playing tank and support. And sometimes defense, but I don't really like playing attack unless I really have to. So usually I end up, all right, well, my one decent attacker is Soldier, overall, because he's got a nice little healing thing. He can sprint, so he's got good speed, and he's got his grenade launcher, which is also a lot of fun. And of course, his ultimate helps out with my problem with shit aiming, is that I got something to help me aim for me. So that's why I ended up getting that skin for him. But overall, I think the biggest thing that I find really interesting is the increase to ultimate charges, because that makes ultimates more. It gives them a lot more value. I find.
Yeah. Honestly, I barely noticed the difference.
I noticed it a bit, not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because there's still ways to really charge up your ultimate really freaking fast. So
and like Ana I was playing Ana, and with Ana you still get your ultimate really really quickly, right? And then here's the other thing, right? Is that and this is the key for me, is that okay, sure, ultimates charge slower. It's not like I popped my ultimate the second I got it, right? Mm-hmm. So okay, sure, it charges 20% slower. I'm gonna get it later. This is objectively a fact. But then that later time might be when I was going to be using it anyway, right? Yeah, sure. There'll be those situations where I'm in a graviton surge with Zenyatta at 80% of my ult, and I'm like, gosh, if this was the old patch, I'd have my transcendence by now.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side is that all the ults got reduced. So like if there's no reason why a Zarya should have a graviton surge before a Zenyatta.
Yeah.
But yeah, the alt nerf was an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. To be honest, because yeah, it's so much got changed at the same time. So I'm really curious. I'm really excited. I've been watching a lot of tournaments, and just a quick digression, because yeah, we should probably move on to the next points. But yeah, I was watching a bunch of tournaments, and prior to this patch, there's always only ever been two healers in the meta, right? It's always like at first it was Mercy and Lucio, then Zen got buffed, Mercy got nerfed, and it became Zen and Lucio. Then Zen got nerfed, and it became Ana Lucio. Oh shit! Actually, speaking of Lucio, I forgot to say Lucio got nerfed. They reduced his amp it up healing by 10%. I don't think it's going to matter. I think he's still going to be a very popular character. I do think they need to do something about Lucio, because like he's not fun, and it's not just. Because I think you said it, right? You were like that. He's just not, but he's boring to play. I hate playing him. You hate playing him. A lot of pros hate playing him. A lot of people that play Lucio, because Lucio is really popular at higher levels. He's the most popular character in Overwatch, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
People just don't like playing him. People play him because he's good, but most people don't like playing him.
My biggest beef with him is like I know people who don't like the aura thing because it's kind of boring. It's really effective, but it's kind of boring. But I'm kind of fine with that. And I like his boop. I think his boop is a lot of fun. I hate his gun so much. It sucks. Everything about his gun except for the boop sucks. It's the slowest floating projectiles in the world, and they're so hard to aim. It's just annoying to me. And I don't like that ends up being the thing that will make me go, okay, I want to learn this hero, or nope, I'm probably never going to play this hero, is when I shoot the gun, does it feel good? And if the gun doesn't feel good to shoot, then I'm just going to be like, nope, it ain't worth it. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I mean, by the end of it, I think we're going to have a pretty interesting new Overwatch in general. But our next piece of news, speaking of new content, we've got The Division, this fancy game. He added a new mode, a new survival mode, and that's just another part of. I think this was part of the season pass.
It's part of the season pass.
Yeah, but yeah, they added this new survival mode, and it looks pretty good. I guess I don't know what to think of it.
That hesitation.
What do you mean that hesitation? I don't.
It looks pretty good. Is that what I'm supposed to be saying? Right?
I don't know. I mean, like, the problem is that like I've been off of the Division like info train for so long that I'm like, do people still play the Division? I guess they still play the Division.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the survival pack, so it's a standalone type thing. You go into this area, and your agent is going to be stripped of all your gear and everything, and then it's actually about survival. You have to find food, you have to find medicine, you can freeze to death if you stay out for too long. So like a lot of people are joking that they feel like this is what the game should have been like from day one. Mm-hmm. Because if you actually look at the Division, it's just a third-person shooter. The fact that it's based in like a post-apocalyptic New York dealing with disease and stuff doesn't actually have much of an effect on the gameplay. Yeah. It's just you find cover, you pop out, you shoot, you get your loot, right?
Yeah.
But with this, it's actually like you're actually trying to survive. So a lot of people were joking and saying that this is what the game should have been like from the start. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this DLC though. I don't, like some people played it and they were like, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and but yeah, it's a standalone thing. So
what I find interesting about that is that I kind of agree, because when I first saw, like, when you think back in the day when Division trailers were being shown all over the place, right? Like it looked like it was supposed to be there were supposed to be a lot more survival elements in the game. Like it's apocalyptic, you're walking around, like it's weird. It's weird that when it came out, I was like, I mean, we talked about this a while ago on one of our other podcasts that the game does not look the same, or at least the way they were marketing it at the beginning to where they were marketing it at the end.
I don't think the marketing changed because I mean the first trailer it was just like three people fighting in cover against like soldiers and getting loot. So no, I mean sure the
I don't know.
sure
Maybe it was like the
graphics
one.
look
I think
but
it
in
was
terms
the.
of the gameplay, I don't think much changed. It's just yeah, I just don't feel like they ever took full advantage
Yeah,
of
there we go. There we go. That's.
of the setting that
Yeah.
they provided themselves with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they at least they added it, and it seems like it's doing successful. It just it always bums me out when a game finally finds something that really cool and it adds it to the game, but it does it so late. You know?
That no one cares anymore.
Yeah, and I wish like if they had moved this to like the front of the DLC that was supposed to come out instead of like the back end of the DLC that was supposed to come out, then I feel like that would have helped out a lot. But overall, still pretty cool. So I gotta give credit to credit's due for the Division. Good for adding this mode. So other kind of interesting stuff we got here. We got Paladins. Hits 4 million users. So,
I actually have a classmate who really likes Paladin. He keeps trying to get me to play it, and I'm like, but dude, I already own Overwatch. Why would I play Paladin? But that does bring me to this point that I wanted to make. So this one person was talking, like Paladin, similar to Battleborn, got a lot of comparisons to Overwatch when it launched. However, the developers did a very good job of circumventing that. The biggest thing. The biggest thing that Paladin did right was going free to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not everyone can buy Overwatch, but almost everyone knows about Overwatch at this point, right? So those people that those PC players that they hear about it, they see their friends playing it, but they can't play it. They're like, okay, let's give this game a chance, right? And then apparently the game itself is actually a good bit of fun because I mean, it doesn't matter how well marketed something is. If it sucks, it sucks, and no one's going to play it.
Yeah.
So people will play it, but they'll give up on it quickly. But yeah, apparently it's been very, very successful so far. And yeah, it's got 4 million players on PC now. There's a closed beta coming to the Xbox One and PS4. I'm probably not going to be touching it because
it's funny you say that because like when you think of the comparison, I think of these are the three games I think of a lot with the Overwatch, Battleborn, and Paladin situation. Paladins was free when it came out. Like, period. It was just free to play. And Battleborn wasn't. And the problem I think people had is that, like, okay, I want to play something that's like Overwatch.
Oh, no.
But it's, like, it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting that I know, at least I know a lot of people that it's like, I don't have, like, I agree with you completely. It's like, I wanted to play Overwatch, didn't have enough money to play Overwatch, and I'm just going to play Paladins, and it turns out to be a lot of fun. And it didn't have the cringe-worthy marketing that Battleborn had. And I think that really helped, is that, like, I saw marketing for the game, but it seemed all pretty, not exactly stellar, but average. And it didn't do anything to actively make me go, okay, guys, what the hell are you doing? Which was a constant thing that Battleborn was doing. So yeah, I find it interesting, and like we were going to talk about this a while ago, but they announced a new character in the game that looked a lot like Hanzo, had a bow. The bow shot very similar to Hanzo's as well, but the character itself is very different. Like, it's not a complete rip-off of Hanzo's kit. Like, this character is not Hanzo. As far as like kit wise goes, so I found that really, really interesting. I will. What was I gonna say? I mean, if people want to talk about rip-offs, like people need to go watch that Legend of Titan trailer. That came.
Legends of Titan.
Legends of Titan. You saw that, right? Back all that while ago. Uh,
Oh, the Chinese.
the Chinese Overwatch. Oh, that was like some of them they didn't even try. Like they just ripped assets out of the game. Like Widowmaker doesn't look different at all.
It's pretty bad. It's like I'm looking at it now, and there's a little girl with a thing on her chest. There's this big fat dude with a gas mask on. There's a nice guy. Oh my god, this is terrible.
I know, it's amazing. It's so amazing. I couldn't freaking believe it when I saw it.
Oh my god, is that they just jacked Widowmaker?
Yeah,
bro.
they just jacked the assets. There's just they just
Oh
they
my
just
God.
don't give a shit.
Oh my god. They actually just copied and pasted the code. It's this is like no, like oh my we're gonna have to put some
Okay,
images of this
we're gonna put some images of this.
like this Widowmaker especially. You know the Reinhardt, okay sure it looks like Reinhardt, but the Tracer looks like Tracer, but the Widowmaker is actually just Widowmaker.
And even look at the UI design. Like the UI is pretty much the same. Like as far as like where the health is and where the ultimate charge is and stuff like that. Like it's insanity.
Oh my god, have you seen their Bastion?
Yes, it's just another rip. It's like they're not even trying. But that's what I mean. It's like I like to say when people go, "Oh, Paladins is just a huge rip-off." I'm like, "No, this is a huge rip-off right here." Like
This is wow. This is impressive. I'm impressed.
surprised you didn't hear about this because when I
Oh no, I
saw
heard
this,
about it. I just forgot.
oh god. But that's
Yeah.
what I mean. So I have to give credit to Paladins that it is trying to do its own thing.
It is trying to do its own thing.
And more importantly, it seems to have found its own audience. And I think that's actually pretty damn impressive considering I remember when this game got announced and was getting shown off, when people saw it, they were going, "Oh, this is an Overwatch rip." Like
I mean, the worst part about it was that it actually looks like shit. Which, if you remember, I was like that. Why are they showing? I hate when developers do this. When they show gameplay that's shit, and then they're like, oh, but it's pre-alpha, it's pre. And I'm like, don't fucking show it.
Yeah.
Don't show shitty gameplay and then tell us to give you, and then start giving us excuses. Like, especially since it was a new IP. This wasn't like The Last Guardian, where people are like, oh, please show us gameplay. And then they're like, okay, finally, let's show you some pre-alpha gameplay just to make you guys shut up, right? This is Paladins. No one knew this game existed. And they show us some shitty gameplay, and they're like, oh, but it's pre-alpha. But yeah, the actual final game looks cool. It's got a nice art style. It's very colorful. Hats off to them. They carved out a little niche for themselves, and I'm happy for them. As much as I shat on Battleborn, I didn't actually want that game to fail. It's been a resounding failure at this point, objectively speaking. Even 2K came out and they were like that. Yeah, games like that don't represent the quality of our company as a whole. Like, wow, way to throw them under the bus, assholes.
Like I feel bad because it's like I feel more bad for Battleborn than anything else because there's some things that Battleborn had that I wish Overwatch had more of.
Like what?
Like the single player stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I wish that there was more cooperative and single player stuff in Overwatch. And that was the one thing that Battleborn had that I felt that it should have been advertising that more. Like they should have been pushing that a whole lot more than they ended up doing.
Well, they didn't push anything.
They didn't push anything really. But that's that. We've talked about that on the podcast enough. So, but overall, good job on you, Paladins. Good job.
Good job.
Less positive news though. Persona 5 no longer is coming out on Valentine's Day. It's got pushed to April.
You know what, Tana?
Yeah.
If in September of 2017, I'm like, oh, there's so many games in February. I'm so excited. If I say that on the podcast, I want you to travel 2 hours across the city and come slap me in the face. Because this is 2 years in a row now I've done this shit, and I've gotten I mean, now to be fair, there's still a bunch of games coming out in February that I care about. But yeah, this was the only one that I actually cared about. Now, personally, I'm disappointed, obviously. But the one thing that I was worried about the game coming out in February is that February is usually midterm week, right? And I prefer, Persona 5 didn't come out during midterm week. So now it's coming out in April, which is about finals week. However, like a couple weeks after that, it's summer holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's coming out right before the summer holiday starts, and I can just sit back, relax, and sink a couple thousand hours into this game when it launches.
And the reasoning behind it was pretty solid, and I'm going to get into that. They basically said they want to make sure that the English release is just as strong and it has the exact amount of quality as the Japanese release, essentially. That's what they want to do. And this is something that I don't know if we've talked about on the podcast, but I'm going to re-mention it. I'm okay with. Me being like, I really don't want seeing Persona delayed. I was like, okay, I'm okay with this because of that reasoning. Because a lot of people don't know how badly they fucked up Persona 1 and 2. And, like, Persona 1 had a dreadful localization. They essentially, what they wanted to do is they wanted to remake they wanted to, like, rebrand everything in the sense where it's like, this kid isn't from Japan. This is an American guy in an American school, but we're going to keep the assets the same. So they changed yen to dollars, and they changed the race of a character. And it's just like, if you want to look up some really cringeworthy stuff, you should look up that. And that was a debacle, because the game was just butchered in English. Just completely butchered. And then when they got to 2 was a weird thing where Persona 2 had actually 2 parts. It had like a part 1 and a part 2, right? And they only localized part 2. So if anyone wanted to play Persona 2 in English, you had to come into the story at the halfway point, and it's just like you're like, what the hell's going on? Why the hell is Hitler here? Like, what? And that really, really sucked. It was only until about Persona 3 that they finally got their shit together and they released a really solid, like, English release for that game. And same with 4 and whatnot. And that's what they want. They want to keep that level of quality. The also other thing that makes me kind of happy about this delay is that if it means that there's more time going into the English adaptation, it probably means we're going to get more lines of just like dialogue. Because the thing that Persona does is obviously there's cutscenes in the game where you've got your little comic, you got your little anime character on the screen, and then you've got the line of dialogue, and then the voice actor reads that line of dialogue, right? Okay. But there's some scenes in those games where there is no voice actor reading the line of dialogue. It's just the line of dialogue, right? And you didn't get to experience this because you bought Golden. But there's a lot of stuff in Golden that they didn't have voiceover for. They actually added it to Golden. So that makes me think, okay, maybe we're going to get more lines that would have just been like no voiceover at all, and now we're actually going to get them, which I think is really, really, really cool. But overall, I mean, it sucks, but I mean, it's not like a 4-month delay or it's not like a 6-month delay. It's a 2-month delay. And like 2 months delays, I'm like, but could be worse. Could be way worse. Although I understand where some people are they're just fed up at this point because this game was supposed to come out in 2015. But anyway, overall, I'm not that ticked off. And also, they did also say that they're going to be making the Japanese voiceovers as DLC for free.
Yep.
So if you're one of those purists in which it has to be in Japanese, don't worry, you're gonna have the ability to switch it on. So I think that's actually a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. But it sucks, but what can you do? Games get delayed. Yeah. And yeah, you are right. I completely forgot. This game was supposed to come out in 2015. Now, personally, I never thought it was going to make that release date. So that's why when it got delayed to this year, it didn't feel like a delay to me. But this one actually sucks.
Yeah, like
But
it's
hey, it shit happens. And on a positive note, the game has been very, very, very well received in Japan, so that's always a good sign for us.
yeah. Oh god, am I so excited for when this game
I
comes
just wish I
out.
could speak Japanese. Yeah,
honestly,
yeah. I just wish I
like,
could speak Japanese. I just import a copy and not even
yeah,
have to bother with all this.
yeah, like, honestly, like, I'm glad that just the game came out. Apparently, it's really, really good, so that's great. That's just great overall.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I'm always the one if because there's so many bad English dubs for games, like there are. And I have to admit that Persona 3 and Persona 4 actually have really, really good English adaptations, and I want that quality to stay. So that's why I'm fine with this overall. But what are you going to do? But our next piece, pretty much our last piece of news, is really interesting. So there was this kind of pseudo rumor going around about the Nintendo Switch might get a better version of Pokemon Sun and Moon called Stars, which I find really interesting because a lot of people said this is the absolute worst time for this information to possibly leak because people are going to go, well, why would I buy Pokemon, Sun and Moon now when I can wait a couple months and get it for the Switch? You know, there is
Well,
that.
because then you'd have to pay like $300.
Well, there's people that are going to be like, well, I'm already buying a Switch.
Mm.
So, but I found that really interesting. But overall, I think this is actually kind of a good piece of news because I'm glad to hear that there will be a Pokemon game on the Switch. I'm glad. And apparently, from people who have played Pokemon Sun and Moon, they say that this is a really, really good version of Pokemon. This is way better than Alpha. Alpha and Ruby. That's God damn it! I hate the name. How they called it Alpha Ruby Omega Sapphire. There we go. Okay. God damn it! I don't know why I had trouble with that name, but I could still say like Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE, no problem. But but overall, I think this it's interesting overall, and there's a lot of cool stuff with that. The other thing that they also announced was the price for the Switch, which is a lot cheaper than a lot of people thought it was going to be.
I mean, they didn't announce it leaked.
Well, yeah, they got leaked.
So this is still a rumor.
This is still a rumor, but I'm feeling pretty confident that it's going to probably be around this price tag. But it's supposed to be around $300, which is actually cheaper than the Wii U when it launched. So that's a good thing. And more importantly, it's cheaper. This is the key. It had to be cheaper than a PS4 and an Xbox One. It had to be.
Yeah.
Like, it just had to be. And yeah, like overall, I think this is overall pretty good news. I'm still the price I'm okay with. The one thing that I really, really hope that they announce something for, or like a third party announces, is some way to increase the battery life. Because the battery life is pretty weak at the moment at about like 4 hours.
Have they confirmed that it's 4 hours?
They haven't confirmed it directly, but there is a source that is pretty accurate. Like, they were the ones that confirmed a lot of the stuff that before the Switch got announced that came true. So I mean, like, nothing of this has been confirmed, but I really do hope that regardless that there is a way to increase the battery life, whether it be like an attachment or something like that. Because I don't know, like if it, like how long does a Vita last, Fawaz? You've had a Vita, right?
It lasts for a while. I can't remember how long. Maybe like 5 or 6 hours.
5 or 6 hours, right? And then my 3DS can last about 5 to 6 hours. So it's like, come on, please. I don't know. But overall, still kind of interesting stuff. And
I mean, this is still a home console.
Well, it is meant to be a home console that you can bring on the go.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I still wanted that. I wanted that. I want it to be that. But it's interesting. I talked to people about that and how do you want to market? How do you think Nintendo should market the Switch? Should they market it as a home console you can bring in a go, or should they market it as a portable console that also works as a home console?
I think either or works, but you're probably better off marketing it as a home console
Yeah,
that you can travel with because if you're talking about how, oh yeah, this is a Wii U, this is a, sorry, 3DS that you can connect to your TV, and it's like, well, you could already connect. I don't know if you can do a 3DS, but you can already connect a Vita
a
to your
Vita,
TV,
Vita TV. Yeah,
and that just makes you realize how bad the Vita's graphics are. But on the flip side, compared to PS4, obviously.
well, yeah,
But on the flip side, if you're like that, oh yeah, this is a PS4 that you can go on the go with, then I think that sounds a lot more interesting than a 3DS that you can play at home.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's Nintendo needs to market it that way. They need to do it that way because if they do it the reverse, then it's gonna be. But anyway, overall, pretty cool stuff. But before we wrap things up, we got a question of the day from the wonderful J Streets. And J Streets asks us, what video game that you've played had the best combat system? So I'm curious what yours is, Fawaz, because you're more of the action game kind of guy.
Sorry?
I was just saying that you're the more action. You play a lot more action games than I do.
Yeah.
So you would have a better taste, better palate for these kind of things.
Well, I mean, I don't, and obviously, I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think J Street necessarily meant RPG, just anything with a combat
just
system.
a combat system in general.
But it just so happens that the game, I don't think he necessarily meant action game, just anything with a combat system.
Yeah.
It just so happens that the game with the best combat system for me, anyway, that I enjoyed the most was Ninja Gaiden. Now, I mean, at the same time, there's a bunch of other games that I could put on this list, like XCOM. I love XCOM's combat system, but XCOM's turn-based, and
it's tactical. Yeah.
What about you?
Me? So I have two. This is more for a combat system in JRPG. And I have mentioned this before that my favorite by far of JRPG combat systems was Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Because if the comboing in that game was so much fun and so active and so much more interesting than a typical turn-based, system, because it was about stringing moves. So it felt a little bit like a fighting game in some ways. And I really, really enjoyed that JRPG system. And I want to see more. Like, I felt that the combat system in Tokyo Mirage Sessions was so good, I want to see it in other games. Like, I really, not just Tokyo Mirage Sessions, if they make a sequel or whatnot. I just want to see this combat system in other games, period. Because I think it makes the JRPG system fresh and interesting. But for more like a general combat system, I really, really like Monster Hunter Generations combat system. I like the fact that you can choose different styles. I love the aerial combat so much. Doing aerial combos against dragons is it's such a great feeling. And it's a really, and there's so many different ways to play Generations with these new combat systems, and I really, really did enjoy Generations a lot. Even though it felt like, as much as I like Generations, in some ways I felt Generations felt like Monster Hunter 4.5 in some ways. But it's still really, really good. And I really, really enjoyed that. I also really, I actually really enjoyed the combat system in the Dark Souls games a lot. Maybe less so for PvP, but for PvE, I really do enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. But yeah, those I think those are three really good ones that I could say. Tokyo, Dark Souls, and Monster Hunter. I think are some of my favorite combat systems. It's weird because it's like, I guess, As much as I like games with good combat systems, it's usually not the first thing that I think of when I'm thinking about my favorite games. It's weird.
Yeah, I think for me it depends on the type of game, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Sorry?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Like,
Yeah, because something like Overwatch, for example, yeah, well, I mean, combat system isn't. Although to be fair, like the combat system is kind of important because that's really all you do. But in something like The Walking Dead, for example, well,
well, it's like, oh man, I love the part in The Walking Dead in which Clementine
I
did
had to
that
hit this
sick
one button
aerial
and do this.
dash. Oh man, when Clementine did the aerial dash into her super against Lee, oh, it's just the best.
But yeah, for me it was tough to choose between Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry, and Bayonetta. But I was always more into Ninja Gaiden and Devil May Cry, and well, I should have picked Bayonetta because Bayonetta is really good. It's really fun, and the combat system is really deep. That's one of the things that I never liked about God of War's combat system was that it was basic. You know, it was basic as all hell. There were no like advanced techniques. You know, that's one thing that I always look for because you look at even Titanfall, right? There's advanced techniques in Titanfall.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got your slide hopping, I think is what it's called. You got your slide hopping, you got your air strafing, you've got all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's whenever there's advanced techniques, it shows that there's depth to the system.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more to the system than what is presented with you out the gate. You know, you look at even Overwatch, you know, like I mean, it's not as deep, but you've got like rocket jumping in the case of some characters. You've got more unique ways that you can use their abilities and stuff like that. But yeah, if I absolutely had to pick, which is really tough, I definitely pick Ninja Gaiden. It's one of my favorite hack and slashes. And you know, screw it, I'm going Bayonetta. I haven't played Ninja Gaiden in so long, and Bayonetta, like I loved Bayonetta. I'd still be playing it to this day if the PS4 was backwards compatible and the PS3 port of the game wasn't garbage. I'd still be playing it. I mean, that's a lot of hits. Or, you know, if Bayonetta 2 was on consoles.
Oh no, it is on consoles. It's on the best console of all.
I'm sorry, what's this console?
It's called the Wii U.
I've actually never heard of that thing
You've
before.
never heard of it before. It's not like we did a video of Bayonetta 2 on our channel.
That's awesome question. As always, J Streets, thanks for the continued support.
Yep, cool stuff. And if you have a question or if you've got one of your favorite combat systems you'd like to leave in the comment section, feel free to leave it in the comment section and we'll make sure to talk about it in the next podcast. And as always, this was your host, Room Liberty, and...
Was Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.